When I met her, she came across as someone very nice, very sincere, very kind, a people person. Definitely someone that you want to be around just because they're always so happy and so cheerful. Upon getting to know her, we developed a really good relationship that was something I cherished. She was a super mom. She did it all.
She still has Rachel listed in her phone as Supermom. This is episode 32 of The Messenger, the Rachel cancer scam. The woman you just heard, we're calling her Marie. And she, like Shelby, asked that her voice be altered and that her identity be protected for this interview. And as you're about to hear, Rachel has already tried, not once, but several times, including on the day that we conducted this conversation, this interview, to make sure that it never happened. That obviously didn't work. The way that Marie found this podcast may be of some interest to you. I was in San Luis Obispo the week of May 19th, a year ago, 2025. I was there to support Mark at a hearing. This was at the same hearing that I approached the assistant district attorney that was leading the prosecution against Mark. And after that hearing was over, I approached that prosecutor in the hall. I identified myself and I inquired about the prosecution of Mark related to those falsified text messages and other things. And he responded and said that there was much more to it than the messages. And I responded by asking him why, after the DA's office learned that Rachel had deliberately obstructed the police by wiping her iCloud account out, and that they had knowledge of the fake text messages, why they were still pursuing that part of the case. He directed me to the DA himself, and I contacted Dan Dow's office. I spoke with the lead investigator there who was assigned to me. His name is Terry O'Farrell, and he directed another investigator to contact me, and he and I spoke. I told him what I had, told him what I knew. I sent him a trove of information, and I asked a lot of questions. He didn't answer a lot of questions, but he asked me a lot of questions back. I answered everything they wanted to hear. I never heard back from that investigator or Terry O'Farrell, or for that matter from Dan Dow either. I requested an interview at that time with Dan Dow for the podcast. That request was denied. I made another request within the last 45 days, and my call has not yet been returned. There are things that I've seen that lead me and others to believe that all is not right in the SLO DA's office as far as this case against Mark is concerned, as you're aware if you've been following along. Now, within a couple of days of my visit to SLO in May of 2025, I got a message from a young man that I didn't know. He said that the story that I was telling was the craziest story, and then he said something that I didn't think was possible. He said, "I think my sister lived with this woman that you're doing the story about." He gave me the years, and I thought, man, that can't be right. What he's saying means that she would have been Mark and Rachel's roommate during that time, in their home. I didn't think that they had outsiders living with them. But one thing led to another. The brother put me in touch with his sister. We talked for about an hour, and for the better part of it, she was tearful. You heard the interview with Mark's mother, Becky, the woman who was inside of that family and tried to warn her son about what Rachel was doing. She paid for it with years of estrangement. Marie's different. Marie didn't come looking for this story. She stumbled onto the podcast and to social media. She wasn't a mother-in-law with an instinct that something was wrong. Her story is important, though, to the overall story of what Rachel did. She was a young woman who needed a place to stay, and Rachel invited her in. What Rachel didn't count on is that one day, when she would turn her back on Rachel, she would learn the truth, and she'd want to share her story. Marie met Rachel in 2011. They were co-workers, and from the very first interaction, Rachel was performing.
The time that I knew Rachel, she was a single mom. She was separated from her husband. She had 4 beautiful daughters and was a very hardworking woman. I actually really looked up to her, admired her, because she always had time. She was always on the move. She was the mother of 4 girls. She would do volunteer work. She was a photographer, did wedding events, and we worked together. She was a super mom. She did it all.
You've heard part of this story already. Mark was working out of town several days a week up in Napa, trying to reestablish his business after years in L.A. Rachel was home with 4 daughters. And the story she was telling every person that landed in her orbit was, I'm doing this alone. My husband and I are estranged, separated, and I'm figuring it out by myself. She wasn't separated. She wasn't estranged. She wasn't doing it alone. Mark was home every weekend. But that story, the struggling single mother rising above it all, that story did something really specific for Rachel. It gave her cover. It gave her sympathy, and it also gave her a certain amount of freedom. If you remember what I shared with you and what you heard from the coworker at the airport, she used the lie about her second daughter, that self-harm, to get sympathy and get out of her shifts while keeping her job, and more importantly, her flight benefits. This kind of thing, taking sympathy from people, that's right out of Rachel's playbook. And with Marie and coworkers back then at Wells Fargo, it worked completely.
She was someone that I looked up to, I admired. I wanted to be someone like her that did all these great things and always had time to take care of what was important, which was family.
Within a few months of meeting Rachel, Marie moved in.
She said, it's just me and my girls. If you want to move in, we have an extra room. And I said, okay, that's fine. And then she started mentioning, oh, by the way, Mark is going to be helping me with the girls, and he's going to be staying a couple of nights. He works. He sometimes works in different cities.
That was the framing. Mark was a mere visitor when he came home. He was a father that was no longer day-to-day with his daughters, and Rachel allowed him to stay in the home when he was in town. He was just an occasional presence, someone coming by to help with the girls that she no longer had a marital relationship with. Meanwhile, he was working himself to the bone to pay for it, for all of it. And boy, did he pay. I asked Mark when he found out how Rachel had presented their relationship to Marie and what his reaction was.
So I never really caught on to that. In fact, when I heard it, I was like, whoa, I had no idea. I had no idea that she was under that assumption because it never really came out in conversation. When she was living with us, I mean, we were going out to eat together. You know, it's just Rachel, me, and the girls, and Marie would go and hang out, or we'd go to the beach, or we'd go camping. And, you know, she just became part of the family. She really loved the girls.
He was clueless that this woman who was eating dinner with Rachel and his girls every night, and with him when he was home, going to the beach with them, doing family activities like camping with his daughters, had been told that he was barely even in the picture at the beginning. Rachel had built 2 realities in the same house. Those 2 realities, they never collided because Rachel was managing both of them at the same time. Before Marie moved in, something had been happening at work. Rachel was in a relationship with a coworker, a man I've referred to on this podcast as Wells Fargo Man. He and I have spoken, as I've told you. Marie knew about this relationship. She watched it unfold from the beginning.
At that time, she was dating a coworker where we both worked. And I didn't think it was strange because she was separated from her husband and they were both dating. I believe it was a pretty serious relationship, the way she described it. The other person was actually a close friend of mine. So me seeing them together, I just thought, you know, love's in the air. You saw both of them happy, genuinely happy, enjoying each other's company. I was genuinely happy for them.
She was happy for him because where she was standing, this was a separated woman, finding love again. Nothing wrong with that. But then the diagnosis came.
She ended up getting pregnant. We thought it was an exciting time, even though she had just gotten the cancer diagnosis. She would take time from work, she would be gone. And from time to time, she wouldn't come to work because she'd be throwing up all night. She would let us know what was happening. Sometimes she would need to leave work early because she had to go to her chemotherapy or doctor's appointments. So we were all really understanding. Take your time. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. We want to make sure you're fine. And before I know it, she let us know that she'd lost the baby. That was due to the medication she was taking. She had mentioned that she was ill and she had gotten cancer.
She lost the baby because of the cancer medication. Think about the logistics of what Rachel pulled off there. she's in a relationship with a man who believes she's separated from her husband. She tells that man that she has cancer, and then she tells him that she's pregnant with his child. Then she tells him she lost the baby because of the cancer and the meds. This is the same guy that Becky confronted outside of their home. And Marie, who was watching all this unfold in real time, believed every word. Because why would she lie? She's got no reason to doubt any of this. She's got no history with Rachel. She's exactly the audience Rachel actually needed. A witness who would confirm that the performance was real. Now, I've heard this story before, and you've heard this story before, almost word for word, because Rachel ran the same sequence of events on me. The pregnancy and the cancer and the loss. Same script, different guy, and a different audience. And back at home, when Mark was home, he was making green juice.
When she started her cancer thing, the whole house switched over to veganism. We stopped eating meat altogether. I was making green juices for her and the girls every day, and we were doing everything that we could to keep her levels down, as she would call it.
Mark's home on weekends, making that green juice and following his cancer-scamming, cheating wife's new health protocol. Wells Fargo man is at work watching his girlfriend miss shifts for chemo and doing who knows what. And young Marie is watching this entire thing unfold, believing that she's witnessing a woman fighting for her life, fighting cancer, and dealing with pregnancy. She's trying to support her in any way possible. And Rachel, she just needed a way to get out of the house.
She told me, and a couple times, that she was going out of town for training with Wells Fargo up in the Bay Area. And she had to go out of town once for like a notary class. And, everything seemed plausible. I had no reason to think that she was using all of this stuff to have a way to escape. We were raising, 4 little kids at the time. That's like the least of my worries. It was making sure that the kids were going to school every day and that everybody had what they needed and paying the rent.
Training trips, notary classes, the Bay Area. While Marie was in that house helping with the girls, Rachel had cover to be somewhere else, and she used it. Mark said something to me during our conversation that I keep coming back to.
I just remember coming home on the weekends and I was like, oh God, I love the fact that we live right here on the coast, and, we can walk to the beach. And in my mind, I was like, this couldn't get any better,
Yeah.
And then in her head, it's like, I can't wait to get out of here. But who knew?
How crazy is this? He's working his ass off all week long. He can't wait to get home. Walking to the beach on weekends thinking he's got the life. And she's counting the days and probably the minutes to the next training trip or oncologist appointment. I asked Marie later if the cancer was present the entire time that she lived with Rachel.
I believed she had cancer the whole time. I was under the impression that she had cancer the whole time that I knew her. Towards the time I ended up moving in with her, I remember they would always be buying all these organic vegetables because she was trying to go the holistic route. And she was reading all these books about nutrition to help with her cancer. She always had organic wheatgrass that they would freshly cut and blend on a daily basis for her smoothies.
I need to share something about Marie, something that she shared with me that I haven't mentioned yet. Marie's mother has cancer, real cancer. She lost her hair. She went through chemotherapy. She lived the reality of what that disease actually can do to a person. Marie sat in that house watching Rachel perform her own, call it a cancer skit. Marie and co-workers believed it. Wells Fargo man believed it. But eventually she'd learn what cancer looked like up close.
Now, seeing that this was a lie and this wasn't true, it's very difficult to believe. My mom had peritoneal cancer and she did lose her hair. She did go through chemotherapy. So for me to listen to the podcast and listen to the stories of what she was going through, knowing that's not what she was really going through, is something that's really awful. How could you say that you had this disease when other people that really did have this experience, what it really means to lose your hair, to really be having treatment that's really burning you and killing you inside, when in reality she never had any of it?
I've spent the last couple of years trying to understand what kind of person fabricates a terminal illness, and for lack of a better way to describe it, performs that with the people who love them, who uses it as cover. Rachel performed it during this period, 2011 to 2012. She made lies and green juice out of it all. Obviously, I still don't have any answers for any of this, but Marie's words are the clearest articulation of what Rachel actually stole from her victims. Just trust and the dignity of real suffering. She took something that's brutal and terrifying and real, and she used it to her benefit. I don't want this episode to be only about what Rachel was doing, because inside all of it, there was something that was real, and it matters. Marie didn't just live in that house, she became a part of it. And the part of it that she became, that wasn't Rachel's creation. Mark and the girls, it was all of them. It was a family, and she felt part of it.
Back then, just a father trying to be there for his daughters, a hardworking man that would do anything to make sure his daughters had anything that they needed. When Mark was around, it felt like a family. I mean, he was a family man. I remember we would cook together, have dinner together. He just seemed like a caring father that asked his daughters about their day, about sports, had movie nights, someone that genuinely cared for his family. I specifically remember this one time where he bought all these blue foam mats. I think they were doing gymnastics. He bought a bunch of mats and the whole living room was full of them to ensure that all the girls had the safety to do all these turns. And I honestly thought, wow, that's pretty cool. The whole house is childproof. That's amazing. And I remember after them playing at night, he would just put them away. It was a fun, playful night.
She was such an important part of our family dynamic back then. She was such a good kid. And I just felt... I don't even know how to explain it. She was more like a daughter to me, really, than a friend, because I was just looking out for her. And, I took her to go buy a bed, and, she needed things in life, and she hadn't started. And I just felt compelled to kind of step in and not so much be a father figure, but be an adult friend that was looking out for her best interest.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. I want to encourage you to follow our social media. I'd recommend you follow Instagram. In the show notes, you'll find a link to all of them. There's a lot more information and backup for what I'm discussing. Much of the evidence that I reference in these episodes here, you'll find there. You'll see screenshots, additional commentary in the way of videos. I also want to encourage you to comment and send along a DM if you've got questions. I answer everything that comes my way. Also, please take a moment to rate the podcast here. Leave a review if you're so inclined. Thanks for following. This episode will continue after this message. That's who Mark is. He saw a young woman that needed someone in her corner, and he stepped up. Same way he did with Rosie. Same way he's always been able to with people who need something. And Marie, she felt it.
Before I knew it, they were back together, and I was like, okay, well, that's great. I mean, this is a great family. These girls, I fell in love with all 4 girls. We started building a bond together. I started seeing myself as part of their family. It was just something beautiful. I remember being involved with their birthday parties. I remember going camping together. I've missed so much of their lives.
Eventually, the family moved from Morro Bay to San Luis Obispo. Marie joined them. She had her own space, a casita in front of the new house. She was still part of the unit, still at the dinner table, still with the girls. And then she left because she was young, because there was a boyfriend and because it was time. Mark told me what that day was like.
I remember when she left, I cried. I was so bummed. I was like, it was like letting your daughter move out of the house, you know? It was heart-wrenching. I was like, God, I really don't want you to go, you know, just because she was just, you know, the house wasn't the same without her, you know? She had a great attitude. She was always happy. Kids loved her. Her parents would come over. We would barbecue at the house, and it was cool, man. It was just really a good fit.
Sit with that for a second, because this is a man who's been through 2 years of criminal proceedings, through dealing with an ankle monitor, estrangement from his children, and a case built on fabricated evidence from his estranged wife. Her lies grew into a criminal case against him. And right in the middle of all this, Marie pops back up into his life. And it brings with it a combination of happiness and sadness. That response to what he felt when it was time to say goodbye to Marie. That's not performance. That's a father. That's a friend. That's a man who built something real inside of all that Rachel wreckage. And Rachel took that too, the way she seems to take everything. After Marie left, she and Rachel stayed loosely in touch, the way you do when someone was important to you, but life moves on. Life happens, as they say. Eventually, Rachel got her real estate license, and that part of her accomplishments was actually not a lie, not fabricated. It's verified through her license number, which, by the way, has since expired.
Me and my husband were trying to buy a house, and we had attempted to purchase a house and didn't have any luck. At that time, our credit was not so good. We recommended somebody else that was going to help us get a house, and we started the home purchase process. And I remember I reached out to Rachel and mentioned that we were starting to look at house hunting. And she ended up actually getting really offended and really mad at me because I didn't end up going through her as an agent. I told her I hadn't finalized anything and I could still go through her. We were just looking at homes. And she got really, really frustrated with me. And she actually stopped talking to me.
Rachel cut her out over a real estate commission that she was never promised. I asked Mark about this, whether Rachel's reaction surprised him or not.
What a conniving, just spiteful person I saw come out of her. And in my head, I'm like, you know, what did you do to deserve the listing? You didn't do anything. You know, just because she was a friend at one point. And look at the way you act. Look at the way you attack her. And yeah, I mean, that was towards the end of our marriage, but you could just see the sleazy side of her come out.
Here's what I know about Rachel and the people in her life. And it's kind of sad in a way, but after knowing what you know at this point, you should know something else. Rachel doesn't have any friends. It's more of an inventory, really. It's this weird thing that's sort of binary. People are useful or they're not. The moment you stop being useful, the moment you don't deliver on the listing, or you ask the wrong question, or you catch on in the driveway at 2 o'clock in the morning, she's done with you. You're in or you're out. She doesn't just fade away. She cuts. It's clean and cold. There's surgical precision to it. Marie tried to reconnect multiple times.
She would leave messages unread. She would never reply. I felt horrible for not keeping her in mind. I tried to cancel my transaction and tried to amend the trust that we had. I'm not sure why she would have gotten mad at me for that. But I tried reaching out multiple times and I never heard back from her for years.
Silence for years from someone Marie had lived with, cooked with, helped the girls with. Marie loved her and the girls, and she looked up to Rachel. And then she found this story, part of it on her own and part of it from what her brother shared. Marie found the podcast the way a lot of people find things. She was scrolling through social media, doom scrolling, just killing time. She and Mark had actually never unfriended each other on social media. One day, something actually showed up in her feed that caught her attention.
I started listening to it and I was like, what? No way. This guy here is talking about the person that I know. This is not true. I don't believe this. I'm not listening to this anymore. So I just disregarded it completely.
She shut it off because she believed the person being described wasn't the person that she knew. And you want to believe in the person that you knew. You heard me say it. I wanted to believe her and believe in her. Marie, she came back to it.
I wouldn't say I was in denial. I was like, no, this is not true. Maybe it was denial, but this is a family that I lived with. These are people that I shared my life with for a few years. And I didn't want to believe that it was true. And after remembering things and recollecting memories, I started piecing things together. And I was like, okay, now this makes sense. The cancer, the many times that she got cancer. I remember she said she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She would read books. She would be talking about nutrition, about doctors that would be able to help her. She was really trying to take care of herself.
There's a moment in every one of these people's lives that I've spoken with where the pieces just kind of lock into place. And it's not relief, it's not vindication. I suppose in a way it's grief, because what you're realizing is that the person that was in your life never really existed.
I haven't changed her name in my phone yet because that's the person that I knew or I've known. I don't know. I don't even know how to word it. I'm just not sure.
Now, my response to that statement, and I have two possible responses. One, I will not share because it's just base, but it's how I feel about what Rachel is and who she is. But for Marie, she doesn't know how to word it because there isn't a substitute for supermom that comes to mind. The opposite of supermom, what is that? The person she knew was real to her, and that relationship was real. Love for the girls was real. Love for Mark was real. What wasn't real was Rachel. And after years of silence, Marie saw this and started to process it. And then Rachel found out that I was talking to her. After Marie and I spoke in May, I had mentioned it on social media. I said that we had a new witness to this madness that came forward and was going to be on the podcast. I didn't use her name, but I gave enough specifics so that Rachel knew. Rachel can't help but follow this story about her. She's just that kind of narcissist. Rachel began to blow up Marie's phone within hours.
I've been getting messages from Rachel wanting to talk to me and telling me to please talk to her and not talk to anybody else. I just don't know why she wants to talk to me now. I tried talking to her multiple times, and now I know why she wants to talk to me. She doesn't want me to say what I know.
Rachel will do anything she can to stop people from talking. I'll tell you something else before I finish this thought. When Rachel realized that I was talking to people about what she had done, she reached out to a handful of folks, including her first boyfriend, Brad, through Facebook, and tried to communicate with him. He's the one that was tricked into thinking that he was the father of twins that Rachel was pregnant with. He ignored that request. I spoke with Brad and his wife, Sarah. They both declined to be interviewed. But Brad provided a lot of useful information that verifies what she was up to, even in high school, prior to marrying Todd. Now, with Marie, it wasn't just Rachel that was reaching out. One of the daughters reached out to Marie as well. A daughter who would have been maybe 3 years old, 4 years old when Marie lived in that house. Daughter who almost certainly has no memory of her at all. I had to ask Mark about that.
Well, you know that Rachel controls all of those girls' social media accounts. So she's on the other end of that keyboard typing in what she wants you to think is somebody else. I mean, that's her, that's her MO. That's what she does. That's why she creates fake text-free accounts and makes you think it's, somebody else, and it's really her, she's just a little keyboard warrior.
Today, Rachel messaged me saying, I need to talk to you. Can you please reach out to me? Someone is gossiping and spreading rumors about me, and it's all lies. Please talk to me. She reached me through one of her daughter's social media accounts. She said she really needed to talk to me, to please give her a call, that it was really important that I speak to her. I just find it very weird that she would message me through her daughter's account after she'd messaged me through another social media account that I didn't even know we were still friends on. And out of nowhere, I guess we're still friends. I was a little concerned and careful because I'm not really sure what to expect at this point.
Rachel remained silent with Marie for years, while Marie made an effort, and not just once or twice, several times. Rachel was a ghost. Years of unread messages, but the second Marie became potentially dangerous, a threat in the way that Rachel can't deal with threats, she's suddenly available to talk. Suddenly the need to communicate is urgent. Suddenly Rachel is desperate enough to start reaching out, not just through her own phone and her own social media, but through her daughter's accounts, because she's afraid that Marie won't pick up if she sees Rachel's name. Remember what you've heard me say, and you probably know this already about the narcissist. The number one enemy of the narcissist is the truth. I want you to keep something in mind as we approach what I think will be the end of this podcast. You're going to hear Rachel say in her own words that the girls cannot know what she's been doing about the cheating and her lying. Why? Well, because that's the number one enemy of the narcissist. They can't know the truth. Rachel is a liar and a cheater. She admits it on tape. And now, every one of you are going to hear it from her in her own words. That, in a way, is a threat in her eyes. This entire podcast, I guess, is a threat in that sense. Every story that comes from me, which is backed up with receipts, and all these folks that are now willing to talk, like Marie and Shelby and Todd and Mike Cherry. Let's not forget the co-workers at the airport and all the people that were kind enough to talk but unwilling to share their stories on the podcast. These are all threats to Rachel. After Marie and I completed our interview, something else happened. Marie and Mark reconnected for the first time in over 10 years. They sat down, they talked about old times.
We went and had dinner. She went over her just trying to grab hold of what really transpired in all those years. And she broke down and cried. She was really she was like, I put her on such a pedestal. And I was like, I think we all did. We all thought she was this super mom. It turns out she was just a big fake.
Marie and Mark got a little reunion. Marie got to tell Mark that the person Rachel presented is not, in fact, the person that she was. That reunion didn't stop at dinner.
She came out to the hearing where, because Rachel had given some false testimony with regard to me throwing her down the stairs and being pregnant, even though we both know she can't even get pregnant. And she came out in support of me to show the court, or to at least tell her side of the story to the court, that was completely false. So that meant a lot. And she did sign a declaration stating that she knew that so wasn't my daughter way back in 2012, which predates Mike Cherry.
Yeah.
And she thought that I already knew all this stuff. Crazy to me. And find out for 10 years later.
Understatement of the year from a man who has spent 18 months fighting to stay out of prison for crimes built on fabricated evidence. This is pure evil. Rachel brought Marie into her home. Rachel used Marie's presence to provide cover. Rachel performed her cancer skit in front of Marie and expected her to be a permanent silent witness. Rachel created this witness. She invited her in. She handed her the evidence, the receipts. Marie's no longer a silent witness. Before we wrapped up, I asked Marie if she had any final thoughts.
I just hope that the truth comes out, and I just want him to get his girls back. If anything, they need that.
Marie is helping the truth come out. Marie and Rachel came into each other's life in 2011. Marie fell in love with the 4 little girls. She loved Rachel and she loved Mark. She felt like she was part of that family. During my first call with her, as I told you, she cried through most of that call. That's grief, or maybe trauma. At this point, she's on Team Mark. She wants Rachel stopped, and she wants him to get to see his girls again. I keep thinking about something that Mark said to me during our conversation for this episode. I asked him what it was like. The energy it must have taken Rachel to run all of this simultaneously, the cancer performance, the cover stories, training trips, the fake reconciliation narrative, the rosy credit card, the disappearances, all of it while raising 4 daughters and living on the coast with a man who was walking on the beach on weekends thinking that he had the life.
What a half-assed mother, you know, instead of like going all in and making sure that everybody was perfect, you half-assed it. You know, you could have, she could have done so much more with her life than riding the coattails of me and fulfilling her whatever on the side. I'm like, you should have just cut bait and left. You know, you probably would have been better off. We would have been better off. But it takes so much energy to do what she did, and that energy could have been put to better use, in my mind.
I think that's the thing I've been unable to reconcile in my story, or any of these stories that I'm sharing with you. The effort and time that it took to put these lies in front of people was unimaginable. The number of stories, the amount of people she had to manage simultaneously, what they knew, what they didn't know, what lie had been told to each of them. It had to be exhausting. It's exhausting to even think about. And this story here, young Marie, dinners, camping, loving those girls, believing in a woman who didn't exist, it's so much. The next episode of this podcast will be, at a minimum, the end of season 2. But if I'm being honest, in all likelihood, it's the end of this podcast. Unless and until Rachel gets arrested and stopped. In that next episode, there's a conversation between Mark and Rachel that I've been talking about. It's beyond explosive. You'll hear Rachel talk about why she lies, about why she cheats. And you'll hear her, in her own words, her own voice, pleading with Mark to not tell the girls. There's so much to this. You need to hear it for yourself. That's next time on the finale of The Messenger, the Rachel Cancer Scam.
You think you love her, think you got her case, think you want her for life, forever and a day. You think you love her, want her to be your wife, be the only man in her pitiful little life. But ooh, she ain't the one. No, honey, she ain't the one.
I've taught you this before, but I'm going to give you another reminder. If you're